Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 fantastic indie horror books that are absolutely going to blow your mind. I loved all 3 of these. Again, I want to say that indie horror is, a lot of people look down on it because a lot of people think, well, it would be published by a big publisher if it was that good, but that's just not how the publishing game works. You can find some books out there that might be, you might consider your favorite horror books that have been self-published or published by small indie publishers. And I'm always a champion for these books because they're so good, as you'll find out in this video. And I want to remind you that I have horror books for sale, but you already knew that, and you know that you can find the ones you see on your screen along with others at the link in the description. And hopefully you know you can join my Patreon, help support the channel, and get yourself some free horror books, free horror stories, and other stuff every single month. There's a link down below for that as well. All right, let's get started. So the first book we're going to talk about today is called Listen to Your Sister. This one is great. It's about 3 black siblings. The oldest sister is only a few years older than the youngest, but he's still a minor, and their parents are out of the picture, and in order to stay together, she receives guardianship of her younger brother. There's also a middle brother, and he promised her that he would help take care of the youngest brother when this happened. Now, the youngest brother is like 16 years old, but he's still a minor. But the middle brother, he has other stuff to do. He's got his own job, he's got his own life, and he hasn't really been there to help. And while she's trying her best to play the role of big sister and mother and disciplinarian, it's not really working out because the youngest son, the youngest brother, the one that she's in charge of, is kind of a handful. He's rebellious, he's street smart, but he's no help. He perturbs her every chance he gets. He doesn't listen to her. He sneaks out. He steals money from her sometimes, and she's just about had it. But they are family. And so they do love each other, but it's a very sometimes contentious kind of relationship. One day, the youngest brother sneaks out of the house against his sister's demands to go to a protest. This protest is going to get violent, it's going to get out of hand, and something horrific happens at this protest, which he is kind of being blamed for. And so they now are trying to run away to protect him. They're going to this cabin in the woods that nobody knows about. And once they get there, that's where the true nightmare begins, because they are going to be put in a nightmare world. They're going to literally be living a nightmare. All this time before all this happened, the sister has been having these horrific nightmares of something chasing and killing her brothers in her dreams, leaving her very disturbed, obviously. But once they get to this cabin and these actual nightmare scenarios start unfolding, they are going to have to work together if they want to survive. And even if they can work together, still survival is not guaranteed. But the thing that makes this book unique and different is that these things in these nightmares that are chasing them are not really monsters. This is not really a creature feature. It's nothing that you would think some supernatural creature, some kind of mythological eldritch god, or anything like that. This is something unique, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to read about that for yourself, of course. But it's fantastic because it relates to the story, it relates to their situation, it relates to how they love each other because they're family, but how they're often argumentative with each other, and they very often don't see eye to eye, and they argue and fight a lot. And this has caused a lot of stress in their relationship. And what they encounter in these nightmares it's going to tie into all that. That's all I'm going to say about it, but it's fantastic. And the other thing about this book is that all the way through it is just laced with this laugh out loud humor. Like I said, this relationship they have is very contentious, but some of the dialogue and some of the things they say and do to each other is really very funny. It's just very funny. But the laughs won't last forever because something horrible, something terrifying is awaiting them, and you'll have to read about exactly how that plays out. But this one was fantastic. I love the characters, I love the settings, I loved these creatures from her nightmares and what they actually were. It's just great. I loved it, can't recommend it enough, and I will leave a link in the description where you can pick up your copy. And this one's coming out on February 5th. So just about 5 days or so from when I'm making this video, but that pre-order link's down below. Be sure to pick it up. And next we have The Dream Killer. When the author first sent me a request to review this book, I thought, The Dream Killer? Did he get an autobiography from my ex-wife? But I'll be here all week. I'll be here all week. Boo me all you want. I know that was a bad joke. But yes, The Dream Killer is a unique, genre-bending, mind-twisting, and twisted novel. It's one of those books that'll keep you on your toes. It's going to make you think. You never really quite know for sure what's reality and what's not and what's going on. But it's great because we will get there by the end, and it's even more horrific than anything you could have thought of beforehand. It's written kind of in 3 parts. But there's a man, and one day he finds the body of a dead missing girl in his basement wrapped in a carpet. Now, he didn't kill her though. He has no idea how she got down there. He has no idea what's going on. But this girl and her missing person case have gained nationwide attention. Not just locally, but nationwide. So it's a big deal. But since she disappeared in the town he lives in, of course, most of the activity looking for her is centered there. So he knows he has no alibi for having her there. He has no excuses. So he panics. He doesn't know what to do. Get rid of the body, you know. Otherwise, he's obviously going to be blamed and he's going to go to prison. But on the back of this dead girl is a symbol carved into her back, a triangle with 3 dots of light in each corner. He doesn't know what it means. He goes online to start looking for it, and this leads him to a YouTube channel run by a girl who solves mysteries and is into all this supernatural, conspiracy, occultish lore. And her YouTube channel is all about some of these things, and she investigates them and comes up with answers. And he decides to reach out to her to help him because he notices that same symbol on one of her videos. She oddly believes him. She doesn't think he's some kind of crazy killer. She believes his story, and she tells him the story about an institute that was doing experiments that this institute was taking people, kidnapping people basically, and turning them into killers while they were sleeping. They would kill people while they were sleeping and not remember it at all the next day. That's the first part. Now, where this book goes from here, I'm not even going to get into. Because you think you might, this is like a little mystery, and that maybe this guy was part of the experiment and he didn't know it, or it's not going to go the way you think after you read that. Trust me on that. This is going to take you into some very delightfully weird, twisted, twisty-turny territory that I certainly didn't see coming. And by the end, when we actually find out exactly what's going on and exactly who this man is and who this girl is, it's far beyond anything you would have thought of when you first read it. And it's fantastic. And it's even more, again, it's one of those books that when you get to the end and find out all the secrets, it's even more horrifying than anything you could have thought of previously. But this book is great because it puts you on edge, man. You will feel the tension because once you get to the second part and you're wondering what is going on here, how did this happen? It's the same characters and they're dealing with the same issue, but something has changed. I'll just put it that way. And you're not going to know what to believe. What is reality? What is not reality? Is this real? Is it not? Yeah, and you're going to be right there along with the character as he ponders these things. But it's wonderful. I would say it is kind of confusing, but not in a bad way. It's not a confusion like, I don't want to read it anymore because I just don't get it. It's more confusing in a way like intentionally, like he wants you to be thrown off balance, this author. And it works wonderfully because in this case, it keeps you invested in the book. It keeps you interested and engaged. At least it did me. And I couldn't wait to get to the end and find out what really was going on. Because the other thing is that, of course, it's very well written. And so as you're going through this, you're never bored. You're never taken off that main narrative, even though it might look like it at times. Yeah, but you'll figure it out once you get to the end. This one is just mind-blowing. How it's all put together and the story, the way it plays out at the end. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommended, of course. And there is a pre-order link in the description. This one is coming out in March. But you really, really need to pre-order this one because, yeah, it's trippy, it's weird, and you'll love it. And next we have The Demon Inside of Me. In case you can't tell by the title, this is a possession story. It's one of my favorite tropes. I love a good old religious possession horror novel. It's right up my alley. And this one has all those beats, it has all those arcs, it has all those terrifying pants-soaking moments, you know, that you can expect from that genre. But this one does things different, and there might be other books out there like it. If there are, let me know. I've never read one written like this before because this is written from the first-person perspective of the possessed. This boy who is possessed, and we're hearing this possession play out through his eyes. And that's fascinating because if you ever saw a possession movie or read a possession book and wondered, gee, I wonder how that person feels on the inside. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? This book encapsulates all that, captures all that perfectly because it starts out where he's just feeling a little sick, he's feeling a little dizzy, he's not feeling right, and eventually over the course of this book he just gets more and more aggressive, and inside like he wants to resist it. He doesn't want to do these things, he doesn't want to say these things to his parents, he doesn't want to strike out at the priest and the nun who have been friends of his for all of his life, and they really seem to care about him when they're finally called in. But then his body's going to start changing. Does have some body horror in here. His bones are going to crack and joints are going to creak and things are going to break out on his face, and he's going to become this horrifically possessed little boy. And his attitude starts changing, but inside, like, he doesn't want to do any of these things. And so we're going to get that perspective in this book about how it feels to be possessed from the perspective of the person possessed. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating because, like I said, I've never read anything like that before. And yeah, trust me, it's got all of the horror and terror that you would expect from a good possession horror novel, but that added effect of having it be told from that perspective is just, again, mind-blowing, and I absolutely loved it. It's frightening, it'll chill you to the bone, and it's definitely one you want to read. Yes, again, I loved it, and again, I highly recommend it. And this one is available right now, and there is a link down below to pick up your copy. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.